I would now like to invite Sujoy Ghosh, BD's compatriot and direct reportee at Times of India for 15 years. Sujoy met BD in 1996 when he first arrived in Bombay, and they have been friends ever since.
Huge one. Good evening, friends, ex-colleagues, and the Das family. When Shoma requested me to say a few words about Bhaskar at the prayer meeting today, I hesitated. Not because I didn't want to, it's just that I felt, what could I possibly say about him that hadn't already been written or spoken about? But then I realized BD wasn't someone you could capture in a single story or description. He was a man of many dimensions, full of quirks, contradictions, and achievements that made him unforgettable. So as I stand here, 9 days after BD left us, I can't help but smile. Because his life wasn't just a story of achievements. It was an epic of moments. Moments that made us laugh. Moments that left us in awe. And yes, moments that occasionally made us want to pull our hair out. For over 15 years, I had the privilege and the challenge of being his -1. Let me tell you, working with Bhaskar wasn't for the faint-hearted. He was relentless, ambitious, restless, and unapologetically larger than life. He had a certain je ne sais quoi, which would disarm the toughest critics and simultaneously make his own team scramble to keep up with him. BD wasn't just a man, he was a phenomenon. His life unfolded in episodes, each one adding to the leitmotif, creating a whole far greater than the sum of its parts. So let me share his story, the way I believe he lived it, bold, episodic, and always with a touch of humor. Episode 1, the arrival of the whirlwind. When BD arrived in Mumbai from Ahmedabad, he didn't just step into the bustling ad world. He tore through it like a whirlwind. At the Times of India, where business often felt like a labyrinth of egos and negotiations, BD turned chaos into opportunity. He was the de facto king of innovation, the man who conceptualized and formalized ideas others hadn't yet dared to dream. Bhaskar's favorite mantra was, anyone who is in business and has a communication need is my customer. For him, life was full of serendipitous moments, waiting to be seized. And seize he did, with the vigor of someone who truly believed in the carpe diem. Episode 2, the iconoclast. Dr. Das wasn't just an innovator, he was an iconoclast. He questioned conventions, he broke barriers, and rewrote the rules of the game. His motto being, if it hasn't been done before, it's because we haven't done it. Bhaskar didn't just wear many hats, he balanced them effortlessly. He often reminded us that multitasking wasn't optional. It was de rigueur, if not de jure. In response, if you couldn't juggle priorities, you weren't just not living up to your potential. He'd often hand you an impossible task with his iconic line, usually in Bengali to me, "Dekho ki kora jai," which loosely translated into "find a way to getting it done." And while you were still figuring out how to solve it, he was already onto his next quixotic idea. Episode 3, the Bhaskarisms. Working with Bhaskar wasn't just about hitting targets. It was about absorbing his worldviews. His Bhaskarisms: think complementary, future backwards, think integrated, platform agnostic, are some of the kinds that is still etched into our minds. BD often had another game he loved to play with many, sprinkling conversation with words or concepts, sine qua non, philomath, cognoscenti, etc., etc. He knew fully well that many of us would later be Googling them. He wasn't showing off. It was his way of keeping us sharp and pushing us to evolve. Episode 4, his human side. I remember at a sales conference in Cyprus when CG Varugis, CG to many of you and us, had decided, and I had decided to go bungee jumping. Back then, bungee jumping wasn't exactly a common corporate adventure sport. For a man who thrived on risk-taking in business, BD was surprisingly fearful about physical adventure. He spent hours trying to talk us out of what he called sheer madness. What's the need to risk your life like this, he asked. His concern so genuine that we almost reconsidered. And then there was a time a senior manager's mother needed an urgent knee operation. Bhaskar, cutting through layers of red tape, managed a company loan in a jiffy, ensuring that the manager received the funds he needed. This was Dr. Das for you, in his truest form. A friend, a protector, a human being who always prioritized people, no matter the hierarchy or the circumstances. And the fact of that, so many of us who he has touched are here at his prayer meeting speaks volumes about his humanity. It's a testament to the lives he impacted and the hearts he warmed. Episode 5, the argumentative Bengali. BD, as we all knew, loved a good debate. And trust me, if you thought you had him cornered, he had a way of wriggling out of it. He'd often shift the argument's peg mid-discussion, leaving you scrambling to catch up. And when you finally complain about his shifting the goalpost, he'd adjust his pegs, look over them, flash his mischievous smile, and move on with a parting comment. Only the dead are consistent. It was frustrating, yes, but it was also classic BD. He always wanted the last word, and more often than not, had a charming way of making sure you didn't mind. Episode 6, the family man. BD wasn't just a visionary or leader, he was a family man through and through. His wife Shoma was the sine qua non of his life, the essential, irreplaceable force that held everything together. Even during his last 2.5 years, as he bravely fought the big C, Shoma stood by him with unwavering strength, encouragement, and love. Her resilience, devotion, and constant support were not just admirable, they were extraordinary. Together, they built a life filled with purpose, humor, and unshakable partnership. BD often thrived on the storm of his professional commitments, but Shoma was his anchor, his calm amidst the chaos. His son Rick was his pride, and BD shared a unique bond with him, one that balanced a fatherly wisdom with a deep sense of camaraderie. And when Rick married Isha, BD welcomed her into their family with open arms, treating her not as a daughter-in-law, but as a daughter he cherished. Episode 7, the legacy. Bhaskar's legacy isn't just about the work he has done. It's about the lives he influenced. He wasn't one-dimensional. He was larger than the sum of his parts. His Das capital of wisdom, care, and humility continues to inspire across generations for those who have connected with him. And yes, in true BD fashion, I've consciously slipped in a few words here that I know will have some of you reaching for your phones to look them up. It's a small tribute to the man who loved seeing us squirm in the discomfort of not knowing, not to mock, but to push us to learn and grow. Bhaskar, to all of us here, you are truly one of a kind. As I look back at the 28 years of my life that I've known you, I consider it a privilege and honor. Thank you for the knowledge, the laughter, the debates, the challenges, the trust, and the memories. And as you often told me, only the dead are consistent. In that, my friend, you are the exception. Because in life, and even now, you remain consistently unforgettable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Sujoy uncle, for that brilliant, beautiful, heartfelt speech.